Rebecca Clements, aka BEXXIE. Thank you so much for coming on the Free Yourself podcast. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you for having me. I'm super happy to be here.
Yeah, and congratulations on the latest release.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm really excited so far. I've been getting like a lot of love and support. I'm just like overwhelmed by it. So yeah, super excited.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. And so since we have this beautiful release to talk about, I wanted to kind of get into the inspiration behind the track. Is it something that you've been working on forever, or is it something that like came together like quickly? So tell me a little bit about that.
So I want to say I made the track in May. So we're like in August now, right? I think like originally it came together probably in about like a couple weeks, and I had like just a demo vocal, like a splice, like sample vocal on top of it, but I wanted to get an original vocal and like just get more of that experience of working with a vocalist. So I found Alexa Plexiglass, and she just did like an amazing job with the lyric. Like she came up with the lyrics and like gave her like a little bit of like what I was looking for, and like yeah, I'm just like really happy with how it came out. And I just really wanted to make like, I love M1 like house pianos. So I feel like every other track I make has pianos in it. So I'm just like obsessed with them. So yeah, for that track, I was like definitely like going for that piano house vibe and just like something like happy. And then I think like Alexa's vocals just totally like took it to another level. So yeah, I mean, it came together pretty quickly, and I would say probably like total like 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah. So
Hell yeah.
For me, that's quick.
That's quick for all of us. But so about the since it's a collab with Plexiglass, I wanted to ask you a little bit about the writing process between a producer and a vocalist, because a lot of people don't really know that, especially a lot of people that are going to be watching this and stuff. A lot of people don't know that whole process and how you reach out to them. Is it you just DM on Instagram, like, or because a lot of people don't know about the websites and stuff. So.
Totally, yeah. So I've worked with like a few vocalists and have found them in a number of different ways. In this particular case, I went through the site Sound Better, which you've probably heard of. Yeah.
Yep. I don't think people listening have, but
yeah. Yeah, so it's just like, it's essentially like a marketplace for vocalists, producers, remixers, session musicians. You can go on there, and then like if you have a need for a vocalist or somebody to master your track, like you can go on and post a job. So that's essentially what I did for this particular track. In other instances, like I've just reached out to vocalists like personally, like DM them or found their email or something, because they have, like I'm working with this one male vocalist right now, and I was looking for a very particular sound, and he fit that sound. So I'm really excited to, hear what he comes up with. But yeah, so I found her through Sound Better, and essentially like I sent her a demo version of the track, and then, kind of gave her a little bit of direction, but I don't really write lyrics. Maybe that's something I'll try to work on more in the future. But I was just like, yeah, I'm kind of like looking for maybe this sort of melody. But if you could write some lyrics to it, that would be great. And like some ad libs and just, so just gave her those directions. And then she came back like within 2 days. So it was like really, really quick. Yeah. She's super, super professional to work with. Yeah. And just like a super nice person too. So yeah, it was a really good experience.
That's awesome. So with 2 days coming back with lyrics and stuff. Now, how was she able to, like, does she have her own recording equipment? Did she go to a studio? Does she live by you and was able to come to your house?
No, I think she lives in LA. So I'm based in Raleigh, North Carolina. So like 2 totally separate coasts. But yeah, no, I believe she has her own like equipment to record at home. And I think a lot of like the sound better vocalists, like they'll list in their profile what like specific mics they use, what DAWs they use to record, or like I guess some do go to a studio. I think right now that's probably a bit more difficult to do. But yeah, no, she just had everything at home, I believe, and then just recorded it herself.
That's awesome. And so with the lyrics, did she give you any sort of background as to why she came up with the lyrics to the track? Is it like a story that means anything to
You
her,
know,
or what about you?
she didn't, but to me, like the vocals, they kind of evoke this feeling of like when you first meet somebody, but you know nothing about them and you just like instantly connect with them. So you're just like drawn to them. Cause I think the lyrics are like, you know, I'm drawn to you. You don't know who I am, but I'm drawn to you, you know, essentially. And like to me that's kind of like that's the feeling it evokes, or like maybe you have a crush on somebody and they don't know it, you know, that sort of thing. So yeah, I just think it's kind of like yeah, I don't know, just that's what it that's the vibes it gives me.
And I really I kind of like that she didn't give you the like the story behind it or like the person behind it, because
Yeah,
that really opens it up for the listener and
yeah, an
you to
interpretation, yeah,
exactly
yeah,
to just feel the emotion and interpret it how you want. And
yeah,
so much of connecting with music is like about that process. I
yeah,
mean, I there's so many different musicians that I listen to across all genres, and I keep coming back to songs. Like I haven't made a track that has like a vocal really yet,
right,
and I keep coming back to like all these songs that I love that have these amazing vocals and lyrics and stuff, and I like that's the next step for me. And to also overcome that fear of my own vocal and finding that, because like
oh
when
nice,
it
do you
comes to like
sing?
hanging out, yeah, when it comes to like hanging out in the car with my friends, you
Yeah,
know, whenever songs are come on, like or when I'm by myself in my car, I should just plug in a mic
right,
forever in the car that just
yeah, yeah,
always
totally.
records me.
Totally. I also like to sing, but I don't feel, and I have sung on tracks very long time ago, and I won't tell you what they are. But I just currently like that's not what I want to be doing with my production. Like I want to be working with other vocalists, and I don't feel like I feel like they can do a way better job of it than I could. So yeah, but I totally feel you. Like sometimes I'm like, well, I could just like sing a little ad lib here or there just to get something in there, but
Mm.
I really just want that experience of working with other artists, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I like being a part of a duo with Chris D'Souza because I get that opportunity to be in the studio with someone, and I love the way I think I think it was Joe Rogan that brought it up in a podcast. I love the way he talks about how like the theory that idea that we're just like antennas for ideas, and ideas just like are come
Uh,
from like some
yeah,
other, you know, power. And but when you have multiple people in the same room that are all focused on the same thing, that's more antennas to get more ideas.
yeah,
So like I really like being able to feed off of Chris in the studio. And
yeah. I
um
love that analogy.
it right, like that's why it just clicked so much with me, because and when you're really tuned in, like Chris and I'll have a moment where we like both think the same thing. So it's like, did our
Yeah,
brains both come up with
like
that, or did we just both
telepathy.
get the signal? Like,
Yeah, that's crazy. No, that's great. Like you guys must obviously like be able to like tune into each other's energy almost like to be able to
right?
come up with the same thing at the same time. That's awesome.
It's a great experience. Now the one, you know, I'd say drawback from it is that both of us have our, which it's a positive and a negative, I'd say, because we both have our own, the things that we're good at in the whole realm of what it takes to be an artist.
Hmm.
But over the past 3 years, Chris and I have just focused on those parts of it. So he's way better at production than I am. And like when it comes to social media, networking, and talking to people, all that stuff, like I just have a lot more experience doing that stuff.
Right.
And being in front of the camera, like I'm an extrovert. Chris is an introvert. So like it,
Nice.
but it's
Well, like a
good,
partnership.
right? Like I love that it molds together, and but we also there's other there's other music that doesn't really fit in. Now that we're coming out with our third track soon for the remote
Nice,
controllers.
congratulations.
Thank you. I'm really excited about it, and we haven't technically announced it yet, but fuck it, I don't care.
Here it is.
so with the 3 tracks that are out, like it's clearly that remote controllers do bass house, and like I think it really fits with the whole remote controllers branding and stuff that we do, and but we both love so many different genres of music. Like on the way home from helping my brother-in-law out, I was listening to like my daily mix 3, and it's like Post Malone, NF, like all these like hip hop artists, and then like Elohim and Louis the Child are in that mix too, and like that's not remote controllers, and but I went through it yesterday. I have so much lyrics written in my notes. Freaking
That's awesome. So you think you might do some like hip hop or something?
Like, not even hip hop. Like I'm not gonna lie. Like most of it's like heartbreak shit. Like not gonna lie at all. Like, it started off like sort of just like a release for me. Like like we all go through like the breakups and all that stuff. And but a lot of times the craziest part about it is a lot of times like I'll be in the car, hear a song, and then have inspiration for writing music, but I'm driving. So I'm like
the voice record app.
Yeah, like the voice to talk. I've done that a couple times, and like I guess I don't talk very well. Or the app, like the voice thing doesn't register my Jersey talk. I you know what I mean? But it's but I'd say about an eighth to maybe a quarter of the lyrics that I've written are actually like stuff that I would consider good quality.
I think that's like with any creative process though, right? Like you just gotta kind of like keep making stuff, and then like maybe you use just like a percentage of it, like I do that with tracks as well. It's just like the same sort of thing. Like I have a bunch of half written stuff that I'm sure tons of producers have, right? Like, but sometimes you get that one and it just flows and it comes out like real quick. So yeah, no, I feel like that's the creative process in general.
Yeah, I mean, and we both, come from the Cosmic family, so we know what Zach teaches, and the whole, quantity over quality is or quality over quantity is the term, but like the more you make, the more quality you will get. So it's
and like Cosmic like has been like, first of all, it's been amazing. Like we can get into that, but like as far as my productivity of finishing tracks, since I got done with boot camp, I got done with boot camp and then we all went into quarantine. It was like Thursday was my last night of class and then quarantine happened. But like I was thinking about it the other day and I was like, I've finished like 10 tracks and that's been like, I don't know, a few months or something. And I was like, I had never like come close to like finishing that much music in that amount of time. And like just the process that they teach, it's still like you can finish music quickly, but still have like, at a high like quality, you know what I mean? So yeah, I just want to say like one of the amazing things about Cosmic, I'm just like I was so surprised and I was like, wait, I've just been like making so much music. This is crazy.
It's a great, process that they
Yeah.
teach, and it's because it's one thing that's really tough is to just get yourself in front of the computer and be creative like
Hmm.
that, to be able to turn that switch on, but to know and to recognize that, like, look, not everything I'm gonna make is gonna be amazing. So
Yeah.
don't if I focus on trying to make my next hit, that will never happen. Like
Yeah,
that,
exactly.
you
Like
know what I
the
mean?
perfect track. Oh, sorry, Jack. My
dogs
dog.
are dogs are allowed. Dogs are allowed. Or is that a cat? Is that a dog? It's a dog, right?
Yes, dog.
What's your dog's name?
His name's Jack.
Jack? I love it.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
kind of dog is it?
He's a Dachshund Bichon mix. So here.
I know what a Dotson is, but a
Okay.
Bichon, I'm not sure. Ah, what up, Jack? How
um,
old is he?
he's 10 now. I've had him since he was a puppy. Yeah, but he's still active, still going. So,
Um,
but yeah,
one one thing that I was very happy to hear is that you're from New Jersey. You made
yes,
it down in Raleigh, and I think we're probably around the same age, so we might know some common things
yeah.
about the scene and everything. But I kind of want to take a step back now that we talked about your latest release, and
Mhm.
very very excited for you. I hope all the success in the world for
Thank
for
you.
this release. And but I want to get back now to young Rebecca before BEXXIE, and so where did you grow up, and kind of how did you get into the house music scene?
Okay, very long journey. So I grew up in Jersey, in a town called Washington Township, which is probably like, I don't know, 30 minutes from New York, from the city.
Mhm.
So just growing up so close to the city, I think you kind of just absorb all the culture of that as well and spend a lot of time. I've spent a lot of time there. I've lived there. But growing up, like as far as music goes, like even as a kid, I loved music. I like went through my parents' vinyl collection and wanted to listen to everything and just be like, do I like this? Do I like this? Like see, just kind of see what like really resonated with me. And so yeah, and then from there, like going into junior high, I got into the punk rock scene and started going out to like local garage shows and stuff. And then kind of like that kind of culture, like punk and skate, it kind of moved into like rave culture, right? So this was like the mid to late 90s. So yeah, so like just being around those groups of people, we ended up going. I went to my first rave in Brooklyn in like '97 or something. I was way too young to be going out. um, but yeah, from there I just like I fell in love with it, and I like discovered electronic music. And like when I first heard electronic music, I was like, oh, this is the music I've been looking for. Like, I still loved all the other stuff too, and I still love punk rock. I like listen to that all the time. But like once I discovered that, I was like, oh, this is it. Okay. And then going out to raves and like then my friend, her boyfriend, he had like a pair of Gemini turntables at his house, and we would go over there and he would play me, he would DJ, right? And like the first time I went over there and I saw him playing, I was like, oh my God, what is this? I want to do this. And so he sold me his used Gemini turntables because he wanted to get some techniques. And so I kind of started off from there. And I think this was around like same age, like 15, 16. And yeah, and then just like I was obsessed. Like I just got into DJing from there and like started playing out locally around like 17. So the first genre I played was happy hardcore. So I mean, I love like really fast, like high energy, like fast BPM
Mhm.
music at that age, you know. And then I moved into drum and bass. So this was probably around like the early 2000s. And then from there, I was kind of like, that's when I started like, I did produce a little bit of happy hardcore, and then I moved into drum and bass, and I started producing that. Had like a record label, like just a little label, and put out some records. But yeah, and then I took a break for several years, and then a couple years ago, just like feeling, the overwhelming feeling that I need to go back to this, like just, I don't know, something came over me and I was like, yeah, I wanna try this again. Like I didn't think I was ever gonna be making music, and it had been like such a huge part of my life for so long. So just the fact that like, yeah, like that all of a sudden like something in me, like intuition or whatever, is like, yeah, no, you should definitely do this again. Like this is what you should be doing. And then so I just like, I bought a controller and just kind of started off DJing, and then I was like, all right, let me get Ableton and like start producing again and just kind of play around with it and see how I'm feeling. And then I was like, yeah, no, I definitely want to be doing this. And like I just feel like, yeah, it's just like, okay, I feel like I have this like second, almost like a second chance to like really just like, I don't know, just like put all of my energy towards it and can see what happens, you know, with it. And I guess as far as like house music goes, it just seemed kind of like for me a natural progression. I think all of the genres that I've played over the years, they originally for me like stemmed from a love of like early 90s, like hardcore, like rave music from like that you'd hear like in England, or like the stuff coming out of Detroit and Chicago, like that early sound, right? That's just always been something that I loved. And for me, like house music seemed like a natural progression to take all of those influences over the year and apply it to this genre, you know. And like I love all sorts of electronic music. So but yeah, just yeah, so I just kind of started from there, and yeah, now here I am. It's a very long-winded story, but
That's what we want on a podcast.
yeah,
Yeah.
you know.
Now, when you were going out in New York, what were some of the venues and stuff that you
Oh
were
my
hitting?
gosh, I'm trying to remember. This was so long ago. There was, I remember, it's like Club Shelter was a thing for a bit. That that was, it was like 5 floors. Do you remember that place?
No, no, I've
Okay.
never heard of it.
Um, I'm trying to remember what else. So there was these parties called NASA parties, like probably in the mid 90s. I didn't get to go to one in the mid 90s, but they like did one in like 2004 or something in New York that I got to go to. They kind of like brought it back and played like all that like old school rave type stuff, and like Moby was like a special guest, so that was like really cool.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, I'm trying to remember, but like there was just so like going out to New York. I used to play in Philly a lot. Like
Mhm.
I had like a residency there around like 18, 19, and 21. I was just doing like some drum and bass weeklies there. So yeah, there's just so many, and like so many have come and gone over the years. I can't even remember.
Yeah, there's a big, you know, black cloud around like clubs and stuff. It's just like hard to keep them going. And
Hmm.
there's one club in Philly that seems to be breaking that mold. There's obviously still closed right now because of everything that's
Hmm.
going on. But this club in Philly, I don't want to, you know, I don't want to say its name or anything. I don't want anyone to, you know, think anything about it. But like, because I don't know how many people know, you know, the story behind or whatever. But like the owners of it, they already owned the building, and then they turned uh, a big section of it into a club. So they're only, I don't want to say only making money off of it, but like they don't have rent overhead and
Mm.
stuff like that. It's just like all the other things that come with the place,
Yeah.
you know, like electric bills and water bills and
Right,
paying the
exactly.
staff and paying the talent. And but I'm anxious, not anxious. I'm curious to see how long a place like that will last, and if that is, you know, a better business. You know, obviously it's a better business model. There's no rent to pay,
Right.
but
So
is
they love
that,
the
you
business
know,
model.
yeah, like is that worth someone buying a building to do that? And is
Mhm.
it, you know, what type of, because if, you know, all these different places, maybe it's not that like they're not making enough money and paying rent. Like maybe there's some other stuff we don't know about that's
Yeah,
behind
I
the scenes.
mean, you just never know.
Yeah. So what about in the like Jersey Shore scene? Did you ever dip down there at all, or?
Yeah, and I can't for the life of me remember the names of the venues because this was a long time ago. Definitely, I'm trying to remember. Man, there was like a venue that they would have parties at, but then they would also have like bands play. I'm trying to remember, like Starlight Ballroom, maybe.
Starland Ballroom.
Okay, Starlight. Okay, yeah, yeah. I'd been to I'd been to some shows there. Um, yeah, I cannot remember.
You ever been to the Stone Pony down at Asbury Park?
Oh, in Asbury Park. You know what? I haven't actually. Um, oh, I did play like in Atlantic City a couple times.
Mhm.
There was like some promoter in Philly was doing like a monthly there, I think, for a little bit. I don't remember where. I would just be like, I'll just show up these places. Like, I don't even think I was old enough to drink at that point. So yeah, no, sorry. It's so long ago.
That's awesome though. What brought you down to North Carolina then?
Um, so I think it was just, I'd lived in like big cities and lived in New Jersey and stuff, and I think I was just kind of wanting somewhere cheaper to live.
Yeah.
um, and like it's just a really nice place here. Like the weather is nice, like all year round, and everybody's super chill. So yeah, and I was able to move like my job that I had down here because I had an office here. So yeah, 10 years ago, I just decided to move. As I do.
Well,
I'm either like super spontaneous with certain things or like I have to think everything through for like ages. So this was
I can
like,
really relate to that. I
yeah,
can.
this is one of those spontaneous decisions.
Now, it seems to me that like a lot of people from Jersey, the Jersey area, moved down to North Carolina. North Carolina, Atlanta, and Florida are like the three places that a
Yeah.
lot of my friends and even family and stuff have moved down to. And I got the chance to go down to the Charlotte area.
Okay,
Uh,
yeah.
my buddy Kyle Beatty, aka he goes by 88.
Okay.
Um, he played a drive-in show not too long ago.
Oh, he played at that show?
Yeah, with he
That's
opened
cool.
for Keizo, Calcium, and G Buck. Who
Oh,
I've been listening to G Buck for
cool.
forever. Like I feel like G Buck was the oldest name on that. I don't know how old they are, but the oldest name on that. I you know, I'm back in my trap days, and
Yeah.
I'm like obviously like from what I said before, like I make bass house
hmm
but my interests are,
Yeah.
and
Like also.
much like you though, like when I first got into electronic music, like it was much harder, fast paced
Yeah.
music. And um I mean, what really made me fall in love with electronic music was I had this moment. Now this is so funny because it's like I fell in love with like the like bass face type of shit. Like
Yes, yes.
my one buddy, he moved down to Atlanta, but to like chase this dream of
Mhm.
DJing and you know, live cheaper, and you know what
Yeah,
I mean?
exactly.
His whole family relocated down there. And but before he left, like he was my goalie on the Westchester roller hockey team. Like
Oh, cool.
we always went to all the games driving, you know. it's a club team. So like we drove ourselves, we paid for all of our equipment, we paid for this, you know, all that. But like, but it was such a great time. And we shared so many common interests, and he was from like Princeton's right here. I'm from East Windsor. He's from Montgomery. It's like,
Oh, okay. Yeah, so my parents live in Somerset, which is like
okay, yeah.
20 minutes north of Princeton. Yeah. Yeah. So they moved.
It's like Princeton, Montgomery, Somerville, Somerset, you know,
Yep.
then like New Brunswick over here. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
so I'm a half, like 20 minutes on the other side of
Oh,
Princeton.
nice. Well, next time I come up to Jersey, whenever that is.
Yeah, right. Like, what can we even do? Like,
Yeah, I know.
we can make a fire out back, and then everyone.
Right.
That's a
Stay
common
6
thing
feet
right
apart.
now. And I don't know if you've fallen in love with golf, but I have very recently fallen in love with golf. I'm actually holding it.
I might have to, because this is something to do right now.
Right? It's a great time. I finally, that's the one thing in my life that I think the reason why I love it so much is because it's the one thing in my life where I'm not like in competition with anyone. Like, yeah, it's a sport, but like, first off, all my friends are like single digit handicaps, and what that means is that they're really freaking good.
Okay.
Like if you're on the PGA Tour, you don't have a handicap, and then you like, see, I'm not even quite sure. I'm wearing a freaking Titleist hat, which is a golf brand, and I'm not even quite sure, but it's, the handicap is, say you're a 6 handicap, you shoot on average like 6 over par. Par is the, you know, every hole is either 3, 4, 5, you know, whatever.
Right. Yeah. I know that much from mini golf.
Yeah, right. And so very, very broad overview of golf. And
Yes.
but I grew up playing hockey and lacrosse, and really every sport, and then hockey and lacrosse in high school, and then just hockey in college. And I've gone off on a big tangent. I'm going to bring this back to Sage and Montgomery and all that, and why I fell in love with electronic music. But I love that I'm playing with a bunch of people that are like way better and way more experienced than me. So it's just purely like go out, smoke cigars, like hang out with the boys, and like, and every time I do hit a good shot, I'm like pumped, but I'm not competing for anything. There's no trophy to win. There's no, you're just hanging out. It's hanging out with your friends, and you're walking a golf course. It's in, you know, it's there's nothing but nature all around you. Like, it's a groomed course, but like it's not like you're, you know, walking around the city. Like, it's all open, like beautiful, clean air, and plus you got golf carts and stuff, you know?
Right around.
But the reason why I went off on that tangent is because it's something that I'm very, you know, it's very, you know, prevalent in my life right now because of COVID. It's just like another thing, an activity that I get to do and add to it. So to bring it back to from all the sports and everything, and so my buddy Sage, he goes by Midnight Panda. He lives down in Atlanta, and he's been, you know, crushing that. So he plays Imagine every year, like
awesome.
Like he's done so well. I'm so happy for him, and he actually just got engaged. So shout out to my boy Sage, for you, man. He was in one fraternity, I was in another, but we were really good friends because of roller hockey, and that kind of bridged the gap between the fraternities and stuff. That was like one of my goals. So enough with the tangents. We were at his place. He was playing some music. We always loved music, and he played this track called Cockney Thug, and it was a Caspa remix of the Rusco track.
Oh, I remember Rusco. Yeah.
I was just like, what is this? And I you know, we went around about the day and everything, and so like I came back to his house like a couple days later, whatever, next day, and I was like, what was that song that you played? And he was like, wait, this is the song you're talking about? Out of all the songs I played that you loved? I'm like, it hit different. Like,
yeah.
And I like, cause I always loved dance music. Like when I was in high school and stuff, like that's when actually more middle school is like Cascada and all of that came out, And me and my friends was just like, what is this? And so then like Afrojack and Tiesto and all of them like started coming out with some, you know, some more popular hits, but it was getting EDM not in the mainstream, because obviously it's still not, you know, Marshmello has done a fantastic job. Him and Millennium, they're breaking out onto like alternative rock stations and stuff.
Yeah,
It's freaking awesome. And that was planned. That was planned, in case people don't know that. But so that you know, opened up a whole new door. And then like and Skrillex and Dead Mouse, and like I'm like really I'm starting to get deep into the EDM world.
Going down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, and finding out that, you know, because I was talking about this on another podcast that one of my buddies brought it up, Andre. He said that back then all EDM music was just called techno here in the States, right? Like none of us, anyone that listened to top 40 music stations, like electronic music was considered techno. Like even though techno is one very, very specific genre of electronic music. And then there's 15 subgenres of techno too. And
I know. I remember that when I was younger, like when I first got into it, and like it was not like anywhere near what it's like right now, like commercially, you know. And like me and my friends that were into it, we were the weirdos, you know. And like, you know, the kids at school be like, you listen to techno music, you know, like that sort of thing. And I just be like, it's not, like, techno is just one of the genres. There's so many of them. But yeah, it's just it's so fun. And it's so crazy to see the progression too of how popular it's gotten in the States, like the past 10 years or so. Yeah. So the thing is, it's pretty amazing. It's opened up a lot of opportunities for artists that didn't have before that, you know?
Yeah, just the fact that there's even like there's music festivals just dedicated to electronic music is like, I don't know if people know this, but that's a very new thing still. Like,
yeah, it is. Like festivals weren't really a thing. Like when I was DJing when I was younger, like that, you know, we would play at a rave, like wherever you could get a venue, you know, maybe a club or wherever, anywhere you could get a venue, basically.
Yeah, you might not remember the venue names because it might have just been a warehouse somewhere.
Exactly. Oh, I just thought of one. There was this place in Staten Island called The Wave. That was like one that was used a lot until like, you know, it was basically like if there was a venue that like a venue owner would let promoters throw a party at, like everyone was just like, oh, okay, let's just rent this place out, because they're few and far between, you know? So.
Yeah, and let's face it, when there's EDM, the EDM crowd is there, the place probably makes a lot less money because alcohol isn't the primary thing that they're, you know, worried about.
Yeah,
so they pay with a ticket and nothing else to the venue.
Exactly. Yeah.
But it's so cool to see the progression with the acceptance of electronic music and dance music. And because like I remember being in college and having gigs and me being the electronic music DJ, going to these bars and like, cause I wasn't getting booked at like clubs. I was getting booked at like Westchester University local bars and stuff. And I go in and I play some dance music, and then someone from the bar comes over to me like, you need to play like Rihanna and Nicki Minaj, and I'm just sitting there like,
they want you to play the top 40.
Yeah. So, but what was cool, now that I look back on it, hindsight's 2020. Like I'm looking back on it, like that really opened up the door for me to really dive deeper into music, because for one, like I wasn't listening to that stuff on a daily basis, but then I was able to find so many remixes of all these tracks, so I could kind of, people could still sing along to it.
Yep.
But then I still get to, I still get intros and outros to mix in.
Yes, exactly. And still bring like an electronic flair to it.
Yeah, and what was, one part that gets me salty about it though is going back, 10 years later to the same venues that would tell me not to play dance music, and then going in and hearing the DJs playing nothing but dance music.
I know.
And now knowing that like that's what they want because we want to attract a certain type of crowd. And it's like, so I was ahead of the curve. All right.
Exactly. They just
but the whole reason why it also motivated me to produce, right? Because like in the end, if you want to play the music that you want to play, you got to build your brand. You got to produce your own music so people hire you to play your set.
Exactly.
As simple as that.
Yeah.
But double-edged sword. Like I miss those 4-hour gigs. I loved that shit.
Yeah.
Now it's 45-minute sets, hour sets, and live streams. Sometimes it's half hour, and being a duo, you split that time in half. So it's like,
no, it's been interesting doing live streams, like at first I was like, is this gonna be weird? Like I'm used to having at least people there, like I can kind of get a response from, but I've been really enjoying them in a different way, like because I'll, like people will be in the chat and I can talk to them that way and be like, hey, like, and I'll get on the mic, which is something I'd never done before, and I just like would awkwardly talk on the mic and just be like, hey, this is my new track I just finished, like let me know what you think, or just like tell them a random story or whatever. Like there's just more interaction, which I wouldn't get at a live show, cause, that's just, that would be weird if I got on the mic and told a story. I mean, but but yeah, and just being able to like chat with people, and it's been pleasant. It's been a pleasant surprise, and I've been trying to do more of it. I'm actually going to do one tonight, so.
Hell yeah. Now, obviously this isn't going to come out today, but
that's right.
Is it going to be one that's going to be posted though, that people can eventually see after?
Yeah, so I've been using Twitch, so twitch.tv/BEXXIE music. But Twitch like only lets you keep like your stream up, I think, unless you're like a paid member maybe, but like after 2 weeks they remove it. So so it'll be up maybe by the time this is.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm going to make sure I have there's one that's being posted Monday, but there's no rules with podcasting. I can post 2 on Monday. Like, who cares?
And if not, I'll be doing more. So just, just follow me on Twitch if you want, and you'll be notified.
So are you doing it like every Saturday? Are you doing it?
It's not like a regular frequency at all. It's more just kind of like, I feel like doing this. And like maybe like 2 days notice, put on social, like, hey, I'm gonna do this thing. Like if you want to show up, because it's just more like I'm just itching to like mix, like I still love mixing and DJing, and I'm just like, I just need to do this, so I'm just gonna just throw it up there, and if people want to come hang out with me, cool, but if not, I'm still just gonna be in my apartment mixing by myself. So yeah, no frequency set whatsoever.
I'm not gonna lie. I kind of like that you're doing it like that. At least from my perspective, like Free Yourself. The reason why this is gonna be episode, I think 114 or whatever.
Oh.
It's but the first 100 episodes, every Friday night I would do a live stream, and I did that for 2 years. I kept that up for every Friday night, and it like now having. Like, cause I keep coming up with these different things that I can do daily, weekly, monthly, and I feel myself like getting anxiety about it. Like I'm like, I started doing the make my bed every morning, like take a picture of it, put a song to it, then take a picture of my yerba mate and all this stuff. And like, even just something as simple as that, like now I am engaging social media as soon as I wake up. I'm thinking like, what is a song that people are going to resonate with? Like all this stuff. And like the whole reason why I started those morning routines was like to not be in that mind. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you're talking about. So, yeah, it's like almost like when you make it like a routine thing, it takes away from like, it's just like, oh, this is another thing on my to-do list, essentially, right?
Yeah.
Like, and like, and I think there's absolutely something to be said about like definitely being consistent in like, like when I'm working on music, right? I'm consistently like, I try to have like a consistent like working on music every day, right?
Mhm.
Like, you definitely like, I think to be productive in it, but sometimes, yeah, it's like sometimes I do need to have like a break because I'm like, it's just like, I don't want it to feel like it's another thing, like I'm just checking off for the day. Like,
Mhm.
okay, today I worked out and I worked on music. And it's just like, I don't want it to take the joy out of it. So every now and again, I do have to like just take a break from everything, like social media, whatever, and just like reset, and then I come back and I feel excited about it again. So, but yeah,
And
I totally get that.
so with how much, everything that's been going on, and in this crazy world right now, how much have you been able to dedicate more towards like your health and
hmm
things of that nature? Like, what are some of the things that you're doing to take care of your physical, mental, spiritual, all that type of
Yeah.
stuff?
Um, I definitely, I mean, these were things that I was doing previously as well, but I think even more so, it's like definitely even more important right now, because I think we all just have this sense of, we have a loss of our sense of security right now. And so just doing those daily practices helps to ground me. I think it would help to ground people. So yeah, I mean, I definitely, I work out a few times a week. I try to meditate daily or some form of meditation. um, and yeah, and like, and then work on music, get some creativity out, but then also like, I actually changed my schedule to working on music in the mornings before work, and then giving myself permission in the evenings to just totally shut off
Mhm.
and not like continue working. And that's helped a lot, I think. One, with my productivity and being excited about being creative when I wake up in the morning, and then also just like helps with keeping anxiety levels down as well. So yeah.
No, that's great. I I admire the fact. First off, what time are you waking up then? Like,
Um, so anywhere between like 5:30 and 6. And I'm working like my full-time job, like I'm working remotely from home. So I'll get up and I'll get ready, like shower or whatever, maybe meditate for a little bit, and then I'll work on music for as long as I have that period of time before I have to start my work day. Um, but yeah, so it's honestly been like pretty game changing for me. And I am not like before, I was not one to want to get up early at all. And now I like really look forward to it because it's like the first thing I get to do is just like work on music, which is what I love to do. And not every day, like I would say like every now and again I'll be like, I'll give myself a break, like, oh, I just finished the track. I've just spent like a week mixing it down, and like, let me actually sleep in today, But yeah, that's been my schedule.
it's I struggle with, no matter how early I wake up, or I always have whatever allotted time that I give myself, I use up. So,
Mm,
but if I don't give myself enough time, I'm stressing about fitting everything in
yes,
the beginning. So like
I've really been
I've,
there
I've
too.
been I've been waking up at 6 a.m. too, and it's like some days, because I drive to New York City. I help out my brother-in-law with
Oh, okay.
his content company, and it's first off, like, I love the fact that I drive to a place and sit down. It's just like, this is, I know I can work on music, I can work on social media, I can work on all the stuff that I need to, and
hmm
um but first and foremost, like helping him out and his company and all that. I love that I've got this opportunity now. I I'm getting 8 hours of sleep, and I have this freaking Whoop strap thing, and I'm still only getting like 55% recovery, and I'm like,
Oh,
how
what
am
does it
I?
do? Does it like measure? I'm curious. I've never seen that.
It's got so much shit. I wish
Okay.
this is
Just
a
like it's
sponsor.
like monitoring a bunch of.
Yeah, like it tells me like how long between me laying down and going to sleep I'm falling asleep. It tells me, my respiratory rate. It tells me disturbances in the night, how many times I woke up, and um,
Wow.
heart rate throughout, and how much deep sleep, REM sleep, stage 1, stage 2, whatever the hell. It tells me all. It breaks down all that metrics, and it's like I'm I'm either doing so much that my body needs friggin' 10 hours of sleep to recover, or like that's the only thing I can think.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean that's definitely. I would imagine. Like. There's definitely times I remember particularly like maybe a few weeks ago where there was like one weekend like nothing really like strenuous was going on, but like I was like wanting to go to bed by 6:30 like a Saturday. And it was just like there was just a couple days where I was just so exhausted for like no reason. I just think like our bodies like they're just telling you like, hey, you just need some extra rest right now, and like just stop with all the, because like I can tend to be like overdo it, with work and stuff. So yeah, I have to listen to my body when it's telling me I need to rest more.
yeah, and where it like it trips me up. It's like this is a time when like I'm able to get as much sleep as I can and recover, and like
Mhm.
I don't have kids that wake me up in the middle of the night. I don't like and that's prevalent because like I'm seeing my brother-in-law who's getting 4 hours of sleep and
Yeah,
coming in and doing the same, drive and the same everything, and doing like working even harder than me because it's his company. And
right.
like I don't know if it's possible for me to work as hard as that man on that little of sleep. And then also he's got two twins that are under 6 months old and a
Oh,
2 year old. And
wow.
it's like my sister's a saint. Like she's amazing taking care of them.
Yeah.
But like I don't know, with how much I know about how much sleep is important from
Yes.
all the specialists. I think Matthew Walker was his name, that was on a whole bunch of people's podcasts and stuff. And like the importance of sleep and to be productive. It's like I almost wish I didn't know that, so that I could just sleep 4 hours and like be ignorant to the fact that I needed more sleep, and
Right.
just be like, no, I have no excuse, Ryan. It's 4 hours of sleep and that's it, and that's all I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna be productive, and I'm gonna get everything done. I'm gonna
Yeah.
have 15 cups of coffee, and and he doesn't drink like any caffeine and anything. Like,
Wow. Oh no, I would definitely burn out if like I had 4 hours of sleep and just survived on coffee. No way. My nervous system would be shot.
yeah, like I almost wish I didn't know so much about health, and that I didn't have my degree in it, and that I haven't been studying it,
Yeah.
and engulfed in it for like there's so much that I feel that I need to do in order to have enough rest and be productive and all. And even with all this stuff that I'm doing, there's still not enough hours in the day for me to get all the things done that I want to get done. And
Right.
that's why like I mean, I can really relate, because back when I was, in college, and the year after I graduated, and I was basically just DJing 3 nights a week and living at my uh like at my college town. And so like there wasn't I wasn't producing then. I didn't see any, I didn't think I was ever gonna produce. It was just like I'm gonna DJ. And um it was like so much of my time was like smoking weed and Netflix. Like, and now I'm like, I don't remember the last time I turned on the TV. Like,
Mm,
I mean, I listen to a lot of podcasts and stuff, but
yeah.
it's like I can put that on and do other things. And
Right.
there's just like, there's never enough time to get things done.
Yeah.
And whenever I try and add like I'll be really productive for a week and I'll add a whole bunch of stuff to my schedule. And then the next week I'm already burnt out. And I'm like, oh, I don't even know. Like,
Yeah.
I've got a whole like set bunch of videos and stuff because like they're like at some point I want it to be where like Chris and I don't have to meet up to make music, and it's just we can send it back and forth. And like I've dedicated so much of my time to the social media aspect, and he's dedicated so much of the time to the producing aspect that like I want it to be where we can both do both, right? Like that's the thing. So like I have this whole video series of stuff to help me just like I have so much knowledge because of Cosmic about production, but actually doing it, not that much. It's just I was in the studio with Chris, like so it's like it's just this little bit of fear that like to open those videos and do it. It's enough where I have so much to do where I'm like I'll get to it, and then when I have the time I think of 15 other things that I can do, and it's like I'll get to it tomorrow, and I keep saying that like the title of my podcast is Free Yourself, so like I gotta talk about this stuff. Like I struggle with following through on the things that I know I'm not. I don't want to say not good because I'm knowledgeable about it, but I'm not.
Like
I haven't
challenging.
Yeah, but the evidence of my life with exercise, with sports, with
whatever
everything,
you put your mind to.
As soon as you take action, like 99% of the fear and all the stuff you thought was going to happen.
Well, they say like procrastination, really the root of it is fear.
Yeah.
So like, I guess just figuring out like what, and maybe you're already self-aware about it, but like, what is it? What are you afraid of that's keeping you from watching those videos? You know, just, I don't know. I find the psychology of like how we work so fascinating.
Yeah, I mean let's get to the exact nature, right? Like my biggest fear is that I'm not as good as I think I am at all of this, right? Like I'm all in. Like I can't quit. Like there's stuff in you know, I've talked about this before. Like I'm a recovering addict. I've got almost 5.5 years clean and all this stuff. So like my past makes it so like this is the only option. It's like it's podcast, music, and work for my brother-in-law, and like and work at treatment centers and stuff, and give back to the community that's helped save my life. And that all of that is like that's the only way it's gonna work. Like it's stay clean and work towards that. But like there's stuff in my past that like companies and stuff that they'll not like, right? They're not not everyone understands what recovery is and all this. They it's so I have that quote unquote roadblock with that. So like, but the fear is that like I'm not going to be as that it's not going to work, that like it's not that I have a fear of failure, like because it's got to work or I don't know what's going to happen. Like there's no other option. Right. Yeah. But the fear is that it's not going to work how I want it to. And it's not, it's not going to be my plan. It's not, right. There's
the fear of, you said that. Like the fear of not like of being not good enough.
Yeah. Like the fear of failure and not being good enough to be as successful as I'll be able to make enough money to support myself and do what I love. And a big fear of like having to swallow my pride and go work a freaking 9-to-5 that I'm gonna hate and be depressed that like it didn't work. But then all the stuff that I read, all the motivational stuff, it's like, just don't quit, just take action, just do it, stop listening to these and just take action. And so like I have all the tools and all this stuff to be successful. It's just a matter of taking action. And then there's the fear there. Like once I take action, like
the fear of like, okay, then what if this does work out? Right.
Like that's like, that's where I need to be thinking. Right.
Us humans are so complicated. No, I all of that completely resonates, and I think it probably resonates with a lot of people that are listening to that. Those are definitely like roadblocks that I've had to work through as well, like to push through and like in order to just keep going and doing, have them continue the motivation to do what I'm doing. So yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from.
There's just so much of like fear. There's are people gonna like my stuff? Are people gonna and the I have to remember like the important thing is like, am I making stuff because I with the listener in mind, and are they gonna like it, or am I making stuff that really comes from my heart? Am I really
Yeah.
making stuff that I want to? Because just like all these little things that I put in my life to like that I want to do every day and make a part of my brand and show people that I'm doing, like just like that stuff sort of gives me, an anxiety and makes me fall back and makes me not want to do it. Like I know if I'm making music that I don't like and it's just for the listener, I'm not going to want to do that. So I need to the big part is like I need to just get a better understanding. I need to make it so that my ideas can flow out instead of me having an idea and then having to watch a video to see how to get it into and to do this. But like I know about EQ and compression, I know about all these different things, and I don't know how to do it all. Like that's it's what it comes down to. And
Yeah, I mean, it definitely. Yeah, I mean, it's sometimes like it's difficult if it's like you have an idea in your head, but like how do you translate that into the DAW, right? So yeah, I
And
mean,
Chris
big
is so
part.
good at that. And that's why it was beautiful to just like, okay, I can focus on the stuff that I like to do,
Yeah,
and you can do this. But I don't want to just produce bass house. I don't want to just produce anything. Like I want when I first started the Free Yourself podcast, like the hashtag for it was genres are just limitations. Like, and I would start with, people would send me stuff that's anywhere from 120 BPMs to 160 BPMs,
yeah,
and everything in between. And I would I would go through all of that, and because I love all electronic music, and I don't ever want to be boxed in with you can only make this, so now your creative box is this big, and maybe that's another fear. It's like no one's telling me that I can't make anything else,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like it's like I want to do stuff with Chris because we work so well together. We're 20 minutes away from each other. He lives in South Brunswick. I'm sure
Oh, okay, yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and we grew up 20 minutes away from each other, and I like being able to share it with someone. And
Hmm.
like I maybe another fear is that like I'm all alone and everything relies on my shoulders, right? Like
Yeah, and like
that's a good thing. That's a good thing, Ryan. Like,
yeah, I mean, that's definitely a position I'm in because like I mean I've been doing some collaborations with other artists, other producers, but like it's been mainly just me like producing. And I just kind of like, well, I to me personally it's like if I produce stuff that I want to play, and so I'm like, well, if I want to play this, maybe other people want to play it, but like I'm just happy, like, if I want to play it, then I'm happy with the result, So, yeah, and I kind of like, I do like collaborating with other artists, but sometimes, like, I get like so, like, to me, like, producing is almost like a meditation, almost like, because you get so in a zone. And it's just like when I'm just doing that, like, just me, yeah, it's like I'm just so, like, an hour went by and I'm like, what just happened? you know? And you just like, this thing came out of it and you're like, how did that happen? It's just, I don't know, it's like the idea antenna thing,
hell yeah, hell yeah. So we've hit the hour mark. So I want to ask you
Okay.
one kind of like final thing for
Mhm.
anyone that maybe was like in the position you were in, where you had that switch flip where you're like, I want to go back to making music and
Mhm.
DJing and stuff. for anyone that's like that has that fear of like of making that next step to maybe not just music, but to they hate the job they're doing and they want to get into this, or they want to take that next step, what would you say is like a big thing that motivated you to make that leap and to get back into it?
Yeah, I mean, we want to get on like a spiritual level here for a second. Like I mentioned earlier, it was definitely like an intuitive hit to me. Like it was like, no, you need to do this. Like this is, I think, like what either it's just like whether it becomes something where it's like a, successful career or whatever, however you define that, it's just something I need to be doing just like for my own soul, And so like, I guess for people like if they're getting back into music or they're in a job that they don't love, I think it's like really just getting quiet enough to like be able to get down to like that inner you, your soul, whatever you want to call it. Again, getting a little woo-woo here, but really just getting quiet enough so you can figure out like what it is that you want to be doing, and then you can kind of figure out the next steps from there. But like also for me getting back into music, like for me personally, I was like, take this slowly, like get a controller, but don't go all out and buy like $2,000 worth of CDJs, right? Like get like one that does what you needed to do, but just to like test it out, and then did that. And I was like, yeah, awesome. Loving this. This is so much fun, like DJing again. And then same with producing, like, okay, I started like, I got like a free DAW and played around with it a little bit. I was like, yeah, cool. Like, cause it had been years since I had even opened a DAW. I'm like, do I even remember what to do? And then got like a free trial of Ableton and just like made sure I dedicated some time to really learn the ins and outs of it. Cause it was different from the ones I had been used to using, which was Cubase and Logic. And so really just took the time to learn that so that I felt confident that I could translate my ideas into tracks. And yeah, so I would just say like really like figure out like whether that's a meditation or just some way you can kind of really get quiet and figure out what it is you want to be doing, if it's the thing you want to be doing. And then maybe just like you don't have to go like jump off a cliff and unless you want to but you can just like dip your toes in it a little bit here and there and see, and then check in and see how you're feeling about it. That's my advice. Take it with a grain of salt, but that's been my experience. So
I love it, and I think that's an awesome way to close this. So one last time, how can everyone reach you? How do they support you? How do they get the new track?
Yes. So I'm on all the socials at BEXXIE Music. Mostly I spend more time on Instagram there for sure. So if you want to reach out to me, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram. You can find me on Spotify and Apple Music and Beatport and all that stuff at BEXXIE, BEXXIE. And then, yeah, you can buy the track on Beatport or stream it on your favorite streaming platform.
Everybody, BEXXIE, thank you
so much for having me.
Absolutely, this has been a pleasure, and next time we got a release coming on, we'll do even more.
Yeah, awesome.
It's been a pleasure getting to know you even more. Shout out to the Cosmic fam and all that. So, to everybody listening, till next time, peace, love, unity, respect. Out. Talk to you soon, Becca.
Bye.